Okay, I think we are ready to start. Hello there, welcome to our webinar about the Russian language and how to study this. Thank you very much for joining. For right now, we expect people to come a little bit more, and during this period, I can introduce myself. So my name is Katya, nice to meet you, and I'm a professional Russian teacher. So I have graduated university with a bachelor degree in teaching Russian as a foreign language, also a bachelor degree in intercultural communication, and a master degree in translational studies. And now I teach online. Approximately for the current moment, I have taught 5,000 lessons, something like this. And now I wanted to share my really big love for the Russian language with you guys. Yes, and also I have a small help with me today. It's my colleague Artem. He's also a Russian teacher and also a course developer. And he has also a master degree in linguistics with 4 years in working with foreign students group. So he is really professional and more than 2,000 lessons taught. He will answer your questions in the chat. For me to not lose the floor and not go too much by answering all of the questions and turn this webinar into just 3 hours long stream, so we don't want to lose time sometimes, so we are going to work together. So let's talk about the webinar. This webinar is called "Why don't you speak the Russian language yet? What can be a problem?" and secrets on learning the language. I'm talking precisely about the Russian, but to be honest, these secrets can be also used for other languages. That's absolutely fine to use it here, so feel free. And what is our plan for the next 50 minutes, I hope? We are going to have 2 parts. The first one, we are going to discuss how you should learn the Russian language or any other. That will include several aspects. Firstly, it's reasons for you to study the Russian language. It's really important. Also, how can you improve such aspects as reading, listening, grammar, speaking, writing, and vocabulary. All of them are important and you need to work on all of them. Actually, we have several more tips for you to share. How can you make your studying in these aspects much easier? And in the second part, I wanted to tell you more about our new Russian course that is being launched now, and surprise, we have a small bonus for you at the very end of this webinar. So I will give you a PDF file. It will be a checklist. How can you improve your skills in any language, especially Russian? So just because we are here because of this. And it will be your personal plan for studying. So I really recommend you to wait up to the very end of this webinar. So let's start. The first question that I wanted to ask you is, why are you here? Of course, to save your time, you always need to ask yourself what reasons you have to start anything. So the same is question for you here. Why do you want to study the Russian language? Please leave it in the comments here. We are going to also see some other ideas for other students. So here you can see a chart with the most popular reasons to study the Russian language. As you can see, we have numerous reasons for this. Some people study Russian for work, some have family members also that are from Russia or who speak only Russian. Some people are interested in culture or history. Some people are just language maniacs, me too, hey guys. And some of them also want to know a lot of languages. Some people just want to impress somebody. Really a lot of reasons. It can be anything. You can also see this in chart actually, yes. Literature also can be a reason to start studying the Russian language. Why not? Anything, absolutely anything that gives you motivation to start. And it's really important to understand why you study a language. And more than this, it's better if you have short-term goals as well. such as, for example, I want to pass an exam for the level A2, or in June. It's really important to know the date, especially. Or I want to travel in Russia in September, or I want to have my first conversation with a native speaker in a month, or something like this. When you set such kind of goals, it's easy for you to end them, and therefore you have really great rise of motivation and when you achieve these dreams. So it's like a small prize. It's super cool. We all like prizes. You're here maybe for the bonus, so kind of. And do you have any short-term goals? Please share with other students in the comments as well. Thank you. Okay, so now you have a motivation to study the Russian language. Okay, what's next? What's going on? Where can we start this? I would recommend you actually to start with determining your level in Russian. I hope I said it correctly in English, sorry guys. If you have never studied Russian before, it's clear. Okay, 0, easy. And what I can recommend you here is our online Russian course, because it's created for you guys, especially for people who don't even know that in Russian we have a different alphabet, and also it's called Cyrillic, by the way. And also some people who have small experience in Russian but not so big, so good way to start as well. And here you can notice a problem. When it's not 0, it can be a problem. For example, you can have a very good level in writing, but speaking can be hard for you, or the opposite. You can be great in conversation, but your grammar can be better. Yes, so sometimes people cannot even understand you because of your grammar mistakes, and so on. So, of course, sometimes when you study language, you study some aspect more, and that means that you have much more progress here and absolute lack of this in another aspect. And when it comes for you that you need to use it, this is a problem. In this situation, I would recommend for you even to see your level, particularly by topics. So particularly to see the level in vocabulary, in speaking, in grammar, and so on. There are numerous tests in the internet, so I think it will be easy for you to find this. So actually, did you have similar situation before when you have a great level in one aspect and small level in another one? Please let us know in the comments as well. So to avoid this situation, we should focus on 6 of different aspects of the Russian language, and it's better to make it equal, to use these aspects in whatever situation comes for you. So you need to be confident. Confidence is very important also for when you speak any language. Yes, so what are these aspects? Just to repeat, it's vocabulary, reading, listening, grammar, speaking, and writing. All of them are important. Without one, you cannot continue. So, and for example, our online Russian course also based on this principle. We also will see 6 of these aspects, and so it will be very easy for you, even that something difficult happens, if you need to read, if you need to write, whatever, you will be confident that you can continue, and it will be not even a stressful situation when you finish this course. So I definitely recommend you here. Okay, let's see this in more detailed way, and we are going to start with the vocabulary. Having a big vocabulary is, I would say, the main step that you need to take when you learn any language. It's like bricks, without which you cannot build a house, you cannot continue. The same way as in language. Without knowing words, you cannot understand people. You cannot understand movie, for example. You cannot understand when you need to read something. You cannot speak as well. How if you don't know what to say? So it's impossible. Even if you know the grammar brilliantly, without vocabulary it's not working, unfortunately. So, and I have several recommendations for you to how to learn words in Russian and other languages as well. Firstly, you need to decide what words do you need to study. I would recommend you to start, if you're a beginner, from the very beginning and learn the most popular words that exist in language. I can name you the groups. For example, it can be family, food, places and city. Also, it can be, for example, food, I already told, sorry, basic actions, and so on. So you can find a lot of dictionaries that are also planned according to this system when they even write the popularity or the accuracy where you can see these words and so on. And actually our course is also focused on this. We try to summarize here the most popular words by using which you can easily understand anybody, and also whatever comes to you, you can answer. You have this vocabulary to start. Of course, it's not ideal, but still it will be good beginning for you. It's absolutely enough. So I had a lot of students who use this course, and now they can easily speak, and they of course they want to continue, but they don't need to even with the vocabulary. It's absolutely enough. Okay, when you already finished with the basic vocabulary, the next step for you is to know what words do you need to know personally. For example, if you're an engineer, so maybe you have some words that you need to know for your work. Or maybe if you have some hobbies like art, for example, it also will be good to know the vocabulary that's connected to this, so to share with your Russian friends or your patient, and so on. Also, very important, every single time when you see a new word, check please, whether is it a modern word or archaic. It's really important because there are a lot of situations when students learn a word and then it happens that it's a really old one and we don't use it anymore. And it sounds really funny actually, because like 20 years old student starts to speak like a grandmother. Great, yes. But if you don't want to do this every time, please check if it's modern or not. Also, you can group words. By studying one word, I would not say it's really effective. But when you group words together, it's much easier for our brains to remember this. For example, you can unite words by topics. Like today you're going to learn 5 words that are connected with traveling. Tomorrow you're going to learn 5 words that are connected to food, and so on. Or another way, you can remember words by opposite. It's also a very good method. For example, if you want to study adjectives, especially, it's working very good here. White, black, big and small, up, down, rich, poor, and so on. So please, can you leave in comments, do you know any other advice on how to choose what words do you need to actually to study? We are going to see this together. And now let's move to the methods. How you can study these new words. You can also choose the one that you like and let us know in comments. For example, apps. I would say this is, today it's the most popular way to learn it. There are numerous great apps that will turn your learning process into a fascinating game, like our course, for example. Also, you can try memrise.com and quizlet.com. We use quizlet.com mostly. And also, actually, like additional part, we added the vocabulary that you will study in course. We added these dictionaries to Quizlet, so you can even use it outside of the lessons and improve every single day. 5 minutes per day, that will be absolutely enough to study vocabulary. And it's not so much 5 minutes, we all have 5 extra minutes per day, I think. So the next step is a little bit old-fashioned, but okay, it's still cool. Flashcards. Flashcards are a time-proven method that can help you to learn this vocabulary by yourself. You can write the Russian word on one side, an English equivalent on another side, or even a picture. Actually, if you draw a picture, it will be even better. Or whatever you like. Once more, it can be even different forms, like perfective, imperfective aspect. On one side, you write one form of the word, another one a different form, and so on. Do not forget to write examples in these sentences. It's also very important to help you to remember these words in context. Context is everything, so we always need to remember about this. Also, what can help you is reading books. We are going to come back to this topic a little bit more, but I wanted to say that it's super great for remembering new vocabulary, because again, it gives you context, and also it gives you some motivation to continue. When you read a book, especially when you really love it, to do this in English, it's super cool to read this in Russian. Just imagine the full book in Russian language. And you can do this easily. It's not even a question, yes. Also, I would recommend to you to think about associations. Good method, really good. It takes some creativity, but it's worth it. For example, do you know what is Bugatti? I think car. And what do you think about when I say this word, Bugatti? I would think that you need to be extremely rich to afford this car. And actually, the word rich in Russian is богатый. Voila, you remembered the word богатый, because you need to be extremely rich to buy this car. So you need to be богатый to buy Bugatti. So, and voila, you know the word. So it's really easy to remember this way. I think you will remember these words forever now. And if, once more, not this word, but another one, you can even give your own examples here. Maybe you already know some of them. So if you know some kind of this joke or association, please let us know. I am really collecting these associations right now with English. So thank you to my students. I know this about Bugatti, so this is he who noticed this. So the last recommendation is to use the word in conversation. This is really important. Even if you can talk to yourself, that will be absolutely enough. The most important is to say the word out loud, actually. If it is conversation, even better, because you use the context still. If you give such examples in speech and you use the vocabulary, you use it 5 times, even like forced using, like you even promised to yourself that you are going to use this word, okay, it will work. It will work greatly. Within 5 times of using this, you will remember this word easily. So I would say this is the best way to study the vocabulary and also grammar, actually, yes. Of course, we can help you with the vocabulary part once more on our Instagram account. I think you came from here. Each day we give different content on vocabulary, grammar, cultural stuff that can help you to study the Russian language without leaving Instagram, and for free. That is important also. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is reading. So how can you raise your level in reading? We need to read every single day, and it's really important to have this skill. It can be anything. You can read an instruction, for example. You can read comments in Instagram. You can read advertisements and books and magazines and much, much more. Of course, to raise your level, the first and obvious answer will be to read. Really logical. Books are wonderful tool not only for entertainment but also for practicing the skill of reading, learning a lot of vocabulary and also grammar all together, and actually even listening if you use an audiobook as well. So also a really good method, and even speaking. Actually, it makes your pronunciation much better. Believe me, I use this method by myself. And thanks to this, I have much better accent than I had before in English. It was terrible. So, talking about the reading. So, what should you read? Actually, how to choose a book that you can read in Russian. Firstly, don't choose classics. I know Russia has really great books, especially classic. Dostoevsky, Tolstoy. All of them are wonderful, and I really love these books, but unfortunately it's not really good for learning the language. They're great to read, but not for learning the language, because they were written in the 18th, 19th century. Imagine that if you learn words from here, you're going to speak like a person from this century. And if it's your goal, okay, just I will deal with it. But we live in the modern world, and language has changed completely from this period. So I would recommend you to try to find some modern books, or Instagram. Actually, it can really help, because words here are wonderful to remember and really used. Also, it will be much easier for you to read books, not the paper version, but on some electronic devices. It can be a phone, computer, or electronic book. Electronic books are the best here. Despite the fact that books can feel wonderful and you can touch it and smell and whatever you do with this book. I just love books, actually. And I still don't read so much the real book when I want to study a language, because it takes a lot of time. You need to write down a new word, find this in translator, write down the translation, and so many steps that you need to take. It's really time-consuming thing. But when you, instead of this, using your electronic device, it's much easier. Just click on the word, see the translation of this word, and that's all. So you can some of the books even have a function to add it to your own dictionary. So you can, like for example, Quizlet, that can add it here, and you can, after practice this, you don't even need to write this down, and it you don't stop on the pleasure of reading itself. So it's not becoming like a learning process, more like reading and getting some pleasure with this. So I would recommend you devices. And also, if it's one of your first books in Russian, it's better to choose the one that you already know. You can read it in like long time period ago, for example, or it can be a film that you have seen, and the film is based on this book. Also, it can work. The best way still will be, I think, books that have some screen version, because after reading you can also watch this film and see this in like listening part as well. Actually, what do you think? What do we need to do to improve your reading? If you have some other ideas, please let us know in comments as well. So, but what can you read in Russian as well? We have prepared a small list for you here that you can see. Some of them can be even English. I mean, the author and it was written in English and then translated into Russian. It's absolutely not a problem. I don't know why people are afraid of using this. It's absolutely okay. It should not be completely Russian author. But if you want, of course, you're welcome to read versions as well. Here you can see the small list of the books that I would recommend. It's better to use actually teenagers' books are the best for learning languages, because they have a lot of actions and still it's not really complicated language, so you can read easily. And also they have a lot of screen versions, so it's the thing that you need. If it be your favorite book, it will be even better, because you love it and it's kind of a motivation to continue also. To download this book, you just need to write the name in Google in Russian, and after type here "читать online," that means read online, or "скачать," that means download. And you can easily find this in Russian internet absolutely for free, mostly, but also if you want, you can buy it. Also, you can read Instagram or other social nets or blogs in Russian to raise your level. And the most important part is it should be interesting for you. It's really important, once more. If you're interested in this thing, rather than even in learning Russian, so okay, you stopped learning after this. You just get in pleasure of reading itself and do this. And just like a bonus, you have a really big raise in your skills in Russian. So why not? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. The next part. Again, online Russian course can help you with this part. And because in each unit, actually we have altogether 22, we are going to see texts for reading with some small interactive tasks for you to understand the text better and to make it more interesting. So it can be funny stories or, for example, websites, articles. Also, like we're going to talk about even Elon Musk's biography here, or you can find some recommendations for you in Russian, obviously in Russian. How can you save time, or interesting recipes in Russian, or how can you cook better, and so much more. Actually, it even gives you some really interesting things to read. So not only for studying the Russian language itself. So, and if you read already, what do you read in Russian? Do you have maybe your own recommendations? I would like to see your ideas as well. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. And the next step for us is to talk about listening. Listening is a really important aspect as well as others, especially when you are going to have a conversation. Without understanding a question, you cannot answer this, obviously. And you can remember a lot of words by watching videos, and because it gives you examples on how you can use it in conversation. So we have several recommendations for you to improve your level in listening. The first one and the most obvious will be to listen. The more you do this, the better, and every single time you will feel improvement. It can be anything. It can be podcasts, films, YouTube videos, radio, audiobooks, and so much more. I'm sure you can turn your Russian podcast on and during your workout, for example, or driving. You can even play it like a background and subconsciously get some information here. It's also working, to be honest, even for improving your pronunciation as well, because we are trying to copy the accent that we like and the way how people speak here. So even if it's a background, subconsciously you will get this way, and it will be easier for you to understand the person talking in Russian, and also to speak much easier. Also, don't be afraid of getting information from the context. It's absolutely fine for us to get information from the face of a person, maybe from some gestures of people, or if you know the situation, what's going on, and so on. It's absolutely okay in life. What's wrong with the learning language? When you, for example, watch a film, that's okay if you understand part of the information from the picture, when you look at what people are doing and so on, because in life we do the same. So that's absolutely fine. Actually, it's a good skill to understand the context once more. It can give you a lot of information. And it's better to watch videos by the following scheme. I would recommend 3 times, firstly. The first time, you need to listen to the full audio or video, whatever you listen to, and then just to understand the full idea. You don't focus too much on the details, just the full idea. What's going on? What is it about? What are we going to listen to, and so on. The second time, you listen more carefully. You're looking for the words that you don't know. You can make pauses, for example, and look up this word in the dictionary. When you're already ready with this, you can go to the third stage to listen again the last time, again without stops, to see how far you can remember now of new words, and also see is your understanding better than it was in the first time or not. Definitely better, because you looked up words and you right now worked on this a little bit. So when you follow this scheme, it gives you a lot of motivation to continue, because you can see that your level will improve every single time when you listen to something. So but unfortunately, it's really also time consuming. I understand. So listen minimum 3 times to the audio. It's a lot. So that's why I would recommend you to listen to short audios or short parts or short YouTube videos, especially. That will be the best. Do not choose a big film, because it just, remember, 1 hour of the film will turn to 3 hours of study. It's too much. You will get tired and no results after this. Short videos are the best. And of course, our online course will help you with this part. And it was based on the principle that you need to listen a lot to adapt to the language. So each text that we have here are also supported by the audio, that you can listen how it's we should say this correctly. And also we have prepared audios especially to practice your listening. That will be in different situations. You can even hear background a little bit, so even if it's a cafe and you hear a lot of noise, it will be not a problem for you because you already got used to this. So there will be several situations. For example, it can be in a cafe or in a street, or it can be in ads, a phone call, a TV show, and so much more. So it also will be really interesting for you to continue. And in each unit, you will have a lesson specially focused on listening, so you can improve your skills just by playing. It's really gamificated tasks. So you will give even stars when you get really good with this unit and see who are the best on this course. So, and how do you prefer to raise level in listening? Let us also know in the comments here. Okay, the next part. Talking about the subtitles. Should we use them or not? My recommendation would be the next. Actually, there are a lot of different opinions on this. My personal opinion is that of course it's better to watch without any subtitles. To be honest, yes. Even if you know language really good. For example, like I watched something in Russian, and on YouTube I have a lot of automatic subtitles. I just forget to turn it off, and sometimes even in Russian I watch videos with Russian subtitles. To be honest, even if I understand pretty much, still I read these subtitles subconsciously. It's here, I need to read it. Why it's here? So that's why I cannot even stop myself. And the same happens with a student, but with the students it's much more dangerous here, because when a student watches a video with subtitles and also had the same feeling like I cannot stop reading the subtitles, firstly, it's not a listening practice anymore, it's reading practice. Secondly, you get less confidence after this, because you think, okay, without subtitles I cannot understand anything, it's too hard for me, and so much more. It's not really true, but you get this expression, and it's really, really dangerous for self-confidence. We need to avoid doing this. But of course, when your level is quite low, it can be hard. You can use Russian subtitles, that's okay, especially when you study and when you need to see what words did you use in this conversation. You need to see subtitles only in this situation. So when it's the second stage of listening, okay, I can deal with it as well. But when you talk about English subtitles, I would not really recommend it, only for zeros. When you are absolutely zero in Russian, yes, in this situation possible, but just to see how Russian language sounds like. That's all. After this, it's not working. It's just useless, and even once more gives you less confidence, and it's very important, as we discussed with you. So what do you think? Is it better to watch videos with subs or without? Please let us know as well. Thank you. So, what can I watch in Russian? Next question. Now the internet gives you a lot of opportunities to watch Russian shows or videos and so on. You just need to choose. The hardest part here is to choose, actually. If you like small, short, funny videos, YouTube is here for you. I really recommend it here. The only thing that you need to choose the channel that you like, so it can be perfect for you. Choose something that is choose something that is interesting for you. For example, if you like watching about cars, so choose an auto channel for you. Or for example, if you like dramas, you can find the series. Actually, series are the best because we all cannot stop watching them, and you always want to continue and see what will happen in the next episode and the next episode, and then you imagine yourself in the dawn that you need to wake up in an hour and you still haven't gone to sleep. So that also happened to me really often. But when it's for studied language, it's a good thing to continue and continue and continue. But also, I can recommend you some popular TV shows in Russia. For example, Вечерний Ургант. I love this show. It's a late night show where you can listen to famous people speaking not only from Russia but all around the world, and also to learn some news in a funny way. Don't get depressed after news, it's about this, and just have fun. Also listening to Russian music. I really recommend you to be up to date. Орел и Решка. Extremely popular traveling show right now in Russia, and you cannot just stop watching this. They have visited almost all countries right now, and maybe they even been in your city, and actually in each city they hide $100, so maybe you can even find this. But for this, you need to watch this show in Russian. It does not exist in English. So you can also try this. Кухня. Кухня is a comedy series about the Moscow restaurant, good for learning slang words, idioms, and also cooking. Great way. Метод. Method, you can find this on Netflix actually. It's called The Method, and it's a thriller about a detective and maniacs, so something like this. To be honest, I didn't watch it, but people say that it's really intriguing, like kind of a Game of Thrones, something like this. Another one, Major or Silver Spoon, on Netflix as well. It's also mystery, but less dramatic, I would say, than Method. And the last one, if you feel like your level is not good enough, you can start with cartoons. Disney in Russian will work. And also Russian show, it's called Kikoriki in Netflix, but you can find this by the name Смешарики on YouTube as well. And what is your favorite film? Or what do you like to watch in Russian? Maybe you know some recommendation on YouTube, especially. Please give me some recommendations on YouTube, because I have watched all of the videos here, I think. So, and we are going to move to the next one. Grammar. Does Russian grammar seem difficult for you? Please let me know as well. Because most of the people think that Russian grammar is extremely difficult, much more difficult than English. I would say that depends on how you study this, because we have several also recommendations for you. How can you improve your level in grammar? But it's really important how you do this. The first rule for you, before you study anything, you need to understand why do you need this. The same is with grammar. For example, when you need to study a rule, you need to understand why actually we need to use this. Talking about the perfective, imperfective aspects in Russian. It shows Russians that we have completed some action, so finished doing this or not. And it's really easy to, when you understand it, after you can use it easily. For example, я читал книгу, когда она пришла. By using the sentence and using the imperfective aspect, you understand that I was reading a book during this process, she came. But also you can say the same sentence by changing a little bit the form of the word, putting in the perfective form. Я прочитал книгу, когда она пришла. And voila, you have changed the sentence completely. That you say that I have finished reading this book, and then after this she came. And you can see that it's completely different sentence, but the only thing that you change is the aspect of the verb. That's all. But when you understand when you need to use this, it's much easier to remember this rule as well. And another interesting way for learning the grammar is remembering examples. You can find examples in some other resources, such as, again, films or YouTube or series or podcasts or books, magazines, and so on. And if you look deeper here, you can find a lot of examples of grammar construction. Again, perfective, imperfective, verbs in motion, cases even, and so on. If you remember grammar not by rules but by examples, it becomes much easier. It's like children learn a language, actually. They also don't study grammar. They don't know what chanters are or cases if you ask Russian children. They are not familiar with this part, but still they speak correctly, because they remember examples that mother have told them before. They try to play with this to put the different word but the same pattern, and it works. It works greatly. And I can see from my own experience, students also prefer to using this method much more than remembering grammar rules, for example. So I would really recommend you this. Of course, you can make up your own examples for grammar construction. That will be even better when you find this personal, when you love books and you remember the words «Я читаю книгу» or «Я люблю книгу» to remember the accusative case. It's perfect. You can remember this like within several seconds. Voila, you know accusative. That's all. And also to use this after in life. For example, if you have learned the locative or prepositional case that is about places, okay, write down a diary, where have you been last year, using the prepositional case, for example. Or you have learned the verbs in motion. Okay, write down the plans for the next week. Where are you going next week? What will be your destination here? And so on. And finally, the best way to remember grammar construction is to use it in conversation when it's really spontaneous. I would recommend you to find a pen pal friend that can help you a lot with this part, especially, for example, penpals.ai, I think it's called, something like this, the website. I will read it here. So it's the website to share just chats. It has no video, it's only chat, where you can find pen pals who want to study English or the opposite, who want to study Russian. They can really help you with this part for free. That is also important. You know that our Russian online course will help you huge advantage on this part. Instead of a boring rule, we prefer to find some interactive exercise or games to remember and to use the grammar construction in life. And even if you're studying alone and you don't have any pen pal, you can still remember this in a really interesting way. Okay, now the next one, writing. The most difficult part in learning a language is outputting, like writing or speaking. And you need to put together everything that you know about the language, words, grammar, everything, and then express it in words. Sometimes it can be quite a challenge, actually, I can say it. To make it easier, we have prepared several tips for you, but the most important still will be practice. Write the more than you can, speak the more as it possible. So it will be the best way for you to practice these aspects as well. And also, I would recommend for you for writing, if you talk about this, to find a pen pal. It's connected with grammar and writing as well. So because when you find a pen pal, it's so interesting to share with them how you can, for example, your life in your country, or to learn some more information about other countries as well, how what is the culture here. Some students even find friends and love, also possible. I have several examples of this as well. So a lot of different ways and motivation to continue studying the language. And also I would recommend you social nets for this, because, for example, you can be active in Instagram or Twitter or YouTube comments and practice here as well. We can help you with this part if you're on our Instagram. If you write a comment here and maybe you have a question or mistake here on something like this, I personally, or Artyom, can help you easily with this part to correct you, to give some recommendations or suggestions. How can you improve your level in Russian and so much more. So it's absolutely okay. Feel free to write to us as well. And also I would recommend for you, if you want to be more personal and more introvert, diaries can help on this part, because you can write about your life. It also gives a great raise in vocabulary, because you're focusing on the vocabulary that you personally need to describe your life. And when you look up words to write it down in diary, within several writings like this, you can remember these words also really easily. And finally, to make your writing in Russian as a second nature, you can write everything, like notes, for example, in Russian as well. It can be shopping list, to-do list, or just notes like what do you need to do today, and so on. It's really helpful, and especially because Russian is quite an exotic language and not a lot of people know this. It can be a code even, so people will not understand what do you need to do or buy next time. So keep calm, it will be a secret still. So, and okay, the last part that I wanted to discuss with you here is speaking. Speaking is, I would say, the most complicated part. And again, an obvious advice for here, speak. The easier one. So find a friend, like a pen pal, but you can move it to the video chat, so to speak in real life, or at least by phone. For example, also it's possible to use like this. Travel. It also can help you. In Russia, there are many people who cannot speak English or speak it really poorly. And if you come to Russia, sorry, but you have to speak Russian. I think only in big cities like Moscow, St. Petersburg, in touristic places, you can find people who can more or less speak English. But when it's a small city, or when you go outside of the touristic places, no chances. Just believe me, no chances at all. The only situation for here is to learn Russian. And we also appreciate it. We understand that Russian is quite a complicated language, even for native speakers. But if you study this like a second language, okay, you are my champion, really. And the same is for other Russians. And when you say that that you study Russian language, they will be really glad to help you. And in business, actually, if you know some Russian, just a little bit, it also gives some much better expression for other people, and they trust you more also. So I would recommend you this secret. Also, if you don't have anybody to speak with, speak to yourself. You also have yourself here. If that happens, that you don't have confidence enough to speak with another person, speak to yourself. Go to the mirror. You can even record your own audio, and after listen to this, also very good way to improve your speaking. You can comment everything that you do, like okay, you preparing a salad and you need to say, okay, I take a knife, I cut potato, and so much more. That will be absolutely enough. The most important is to say this out loud, or at least to think about this, at least, but it's better to say out loud. And the more details you name, the better. And the last one, and the most important, keep calm. This is really important. You can see that when I get nervous, it's hard for me to speak in English. The same is about Russian language. When people speak and they are nervous, they're stressed, it's much more difficult to compose sentences and think about the grammar and vocabulary and so on. Even for you, I think in English that will be the same. That you, in stressful situations, it's much harder to speak. Nobody cares about your mistakes, really. Especially when you talk about Russian. Once more, as I told you, Russians will forgive you for this, because we understand this is a difficult language. It's absolutely okay. So just relax and get the pleasure of speaking the Russian language. You did this. You can speak it. It's really cool, actually. Okay. And of course, now let's go to the second part and talk about the Russian course. I just slightly gave you some teasers how it's working, but I wanted to give you some more information about this. We have prepared for you, when you talk about the speaking, we have prepared for you here several scenarios, and in each part you are going to practice in writing and speaking. We united these two aspects. How you like this? I understand that there are several people who are too shy to speak. Me myself, it's not a really good thing, and sometimes it's really hard to overcome yourself and record an audio how you speak and so on. So you can turn it into writing an exercise. But actually, I would recommend you to record the audio of your monologue and how you speak about this topic, and send it to us. It's very easy to do in our chat. After, we are going to listen to this and give you some recommendations on how can you improve your conversation and make it much easier also. So we'll be really glad to help you here. So let's talk about the course and how it's actually working. Firstly, that course consists of 100 lessons, and that is grouped by topics into 20 units plus 2 bonuses actually for free. It will be about the alphabet, and the final about the grammar summarization, so all cases together, how they work, the most difficult lesson here, but it's really, actually it's still very good. It will be about a variety of topics that you can meet in your life, starting from small ordering food in a restaurant, or talking about the direction on the street, or maybe talking to your friends about your hobbies, and becoming more and more complicated each single time. So you can after use it easily in life, and I think it covers the most popular topics in like everyday conversation, so it will be absolutely enough. Of course, it focuses on the aspect that I named today, all of them: vocabulary, reading, grammar, speaking, writing, listening, all of them. And also, after each 5 units, you will have a small test to check, is it okay, do you need to revise something or not, and if you need to come back to check it again, maybe ask questions on some particular situation, maybe questions and so on. So, and at the very end of this course, you will have a final exam to finally see your level. This is a real exam actually. I took it from the standard Russian TOEFL, so for the level A1, and you will see that if you can manage this test, you can easily pass exam after. So I would recommend you also this one. Also, all of the lessons are interactive, so very interesting to complete, even myself, and actually I gave it to my Russian friends. They also completed this, and it was really hard to stop them after, because they liked it so much. And so it will really remind you game, and rather than just lecture when you just sit and listen. No, here you need to react, you need to also speak, to repeat, to do some kind of exercise, to play with this and so on. So you will be into this process, you will not just listen behind somewhere. And also this course is completely self-study course, wherever you like, whenever you like also, even during your work break. You can easily use it, absolutely. It's even like 5 minutes per day, that will be absolutely enough. You don't have a teacher in front of you. So if you're a shy person, it's ideal, I think, because you are not stressed, you feel free to do anything that you like here. Just breathe out and work on improving your Russian until the moment that you will be confident enough to speak with the person, for example. If you like this way, okay, I think our course can help you really a lot on this part. But still, whenever you have any question, you are not alone here. So we have a chat where you can write your own question, and we are going to help you. If it's needed, it will be a comment or an audio recorded for you, just to give an example how it sounds like. Or, for example, it can be even a video explanation, like right now maybe, and so much more. If you want even a real lesson, if you really like. But basically we are going to see each other like video. So it's absolutely okay. The same as all of the videos will be interactive, so you can play even with video here, and as I told you before, it will really remind a game than a lecture. And finally, I would say the most interesting here is that the course costs much less than lessons. So let's count together. Altogether, we have 100 lessons on this course, plus 2 bonuses, and let's say one lesson with their teacher costs. My lesson costs 20 euros. Sorry, euros, dollars. 20 euros. $20. Sorry, and so altogether, so 100 courses will cost you. Okay, really good. $2,000. It's pretty much. But when you do the same with the course, it costs actually 10 times less. Approximately, I'm not really good in math, but yes. Okay, it's my lesson. So even if lessons are cheaper, it's still really big difference. We counted approximately the average price with the teacher. One lesson on our course costs like one lesson with the teacher costs average teacher costs approximately like 8 lessons of this course. So you can see the difference once more. And also we gave a surprise for you here, because as you know, we have just a free unit for you that you can already practice Russian here, and I think it's really helpful. So do you have any questions right now? Please leave it in comments, and as I promised for you before, I'm going in the chat to leave a link for the self-study guide, the checklist. Sorry, checklist that is for improving your skills in Russian. That also contains a personal plan. I think it will be really helpful for you to study Russian here. If you have any questions, please leave it in comments. We are going to answer this within several minutes as well. And I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for your attention. It was good to give you this lecture, and I really hope to see you next time, because we are preparing a new webinar that will help you to save some time for learning the language. I think in our modern life it's really important to know how to do this. So see you. Пока.